everyone. Are ready to work on those interviewing skills? All right, let's get started. Today we're going to be covering the top 10 interview questions you better be able to answer if you get that interview. I'm going to give you each question and I'm going to tell you a little bit about what the hiring manager or HR is looking for when they ask you this and what are some of the common pitfalls to avoid. Let's get started. Our first question, tell me about yourself. All right, now this seems like such an easy question to answer, but I will tell you, I've had lots of candidates trip on this very first question. What is the company or the interviewer looking for when they're asking you this question? Well, they're trying to just get a sense of who you are and to break the ice a little bit. Starting an interview sometimes can be very awkward. Remember, they're not against you. The hiring manager is on your side. They would like nothing more than for you to be the perfect candidate so they can stop this process and hire you on the spot. They know you're going to be a little nervous. So they're going to ask a question like this a lot of times to kind of set everyone at ease. But they are going to listen strongly to what you tell them. It's important to have what we call an elevator pitch. You want to have a way to summarize who you are as a candidate and your experience in areas of expertise without doing a 15-minute monologue. Don't go too far in depth, but you do want to be able to at least hit your highlights from how you got into your career to where you are today. Let's move on to another common question. What is your top strength? Now, hopefully, you all know 2 or 3 things that you are great at. This is what they're looking for in your top strengths. But it's not enough to just tell them what those strengths are. You should have examples for each one of your top strengths so you can give more than just saying, I'm a good project manager. Instead, give them something like, project management is something that I really excel at. Let me give you an example of where I did that successfully. That will go way further with your interviewer rather than just saying, I'm a good project manager. So you know, once they ask you what your top strength is, the next question usually is, what is your biggest weakness? Okay, this is a time to be strategic about your answer. We all have weaknesses, but you probably have ones that are not going to completely undermine your candidacy for the job. Pick one that you think is a good one to choose that is not a direct requirement for the position. But here's what HR and the hiring managers are really looking for. If you give them a weakness, very quickly make sure you're following up with what you do to mitigate that weakness. What I mean is, if you're not a very detail-oriented person and that's the weakness you choose to give, you need to follow up very quickly saying, I know this about myself, so here are the strategies that I use to make sure I don't miss anything. It's easy to turn a weakness into a strength as long as you're showing them what you're doing in order to make yourself still successful. Sometime during the interview, you're more than likely going to be asked, why are you interested in leaving your current position? Or if you don't have a current position, why did you leave your last position? Now, if you are currently employed, this is a time to focus on the positive of what you're looking at in this new position. Don't spend 10 minutes focusing on the negative of your last company or position. That's not what you want the interviewer to focus on. You want them to focus on you, what you bring to the table. Talk with them about your enthusiasm for joining their organization. Now, if you are not employed anymore, I want to talk for a moment about something that's very US specific. A lot of people come into an interview and they say, well, I was terminated from my last position. And when hiring managers and HR hear the word terminated, they immediately think, oh, was this person terminated for cause? So I want to explain what the difference is of being terminated for cause and terminated not for cause. It's very important that very early on You make sure that they have the right impression as to why you're not employed. So when we say terminated for cause, that means you had a performance issue, you had an issue that you violated a policy. It means that the company chose to end your employment because there was something that you did inappropriate. That is terminated for cause. Now, when we say involuntary termination, this is all of you that were caught in a reduction in force or a layoff, or your job was eliminated. It is something completely outside of your control. You need to be really careful to make sure you don't say something like, I was fired, if you were laid off. Fired has more of a negative connotation in the US. People think you were fired or terminated for cause if you say that. Make sure you're really clear with the interviewer of, I was laid off because of the following reason. My position was eliminated. They merged the company with another company, whatever it is. But make sure they realize and know that it wasn't anything you did wrong. It was just the circumstances that you're in. Let's move on to our next question. Do you prefer working by yourself or in a team? Now, this can be a little bit of a trick question. Do you prefer working in a team or do you prefer working by yourself? Some people have preferences. Some people really don't care. But some positions really need you to be one or the other. Make sure before you walk into the interview, you know more about this position by reading the job description. If in that job description it says 8 times about teams, then they're going to be looking for somebody who likes to do that. Check on the website, see what the company culture is before you walk into that interview. So you know, are they more of a teaming or more of a work alone type of an environment? Now, there is no right and wrong. And I also want to say, if you're one of those people that you do not like working in a team or you do not like working by yourself, then go for a job that matches what you're looking for. Another common question you may be asked during an interview is, where do you see yourself in 5 years? So where do you want to be in 5 years? Well, hopefully you have some guide in your career of here's where I want to get to. But what I recommend you stay away from specific positions. I have had lots of people come into interviews that are just fresh out of school and say, in 5 years, I want to be CEO of a public corporation making $2 billion annually. And while that sounds great to them and I applaud their enthusiasm, it does give some companies pause. They wonder, can I keep this person happy? Are their expectations going to be too far every year and they're not going to be able to get there? I actually recommend when you're answering this question, stay away from specific positions. Don't say, I want to be a manager in 5 years. Instead, focus on how you see your career growing and developing. That's way more important than just a title or something that some people may believe is out of reach for a 5-year period. Now, if you're able to become CEO in 5 years, good for you. I'm just telling you to make sure that you're focused in a way that the interviewer is going to be able to see the same path. Let's move on to our next question. How do you deal with difficult situations, customers, or coworkers? Now, when you're asked this question, it doesn't necessarily mean that there's something wrong with this company, that they have difficult customers, or that the coworkers are difficult to work with. They're just trying to see what type of skills and strategies you use to deal with these types of situations. That's what they're trying to get at. How do you approach situations? Now, because you know this is going to be one of the questions, I want you to take the time to actually take a pen and a piece of paper and write down your answer. Think of specific examples of where you actually did this. In almost any question that you're asked in an interview, if you can have a specific example or two of where you actually show a skill that they're looking for, you will do much better. A lot of times at the end of the interview, you will get asked, What questions do you have for me about the position or the company? Now, hopefully your interview has been more of a discussion and not just one person asking you questions, one right after the other, not getting any clarifying points from you. Hopefully you've had an opportunity to really bond and gain a little bit of a relationship with the person that's interviewing you. And the danger here can be when they ask you this question, you may be so comfortable that you feel it's appropriate to come out with your list of 20 questions for them on the position in the company. This is especially important when you're getting more in the beginning of the interview phases where you don't want to immediately hit them with 20 questions. The further you get with a company and interview more and more with them, the more chance you're going to have to ask questions. And I do actually recommend, if you're interviewing with more than one person, that you ask different questions to the different individuals rather than going back and asking everybody the same question. They will compare notes. In general, I say you should not have more than about 2 or 3 questions maximum that you're going to want to ask at the end of this interview if you're given the opportunity. Try to focus on questions that are going to help you really decide whether or not this is a company and a position that you're going to want to take. Now, in these questions, do not ask questions that are easily answered by you researching on the web. If you say, "What is your company mission statement?" the interviewer is going to say, I would have thought they would have done research on our company and seen that out there. So make sure you're asking questions that are not available out on the web. Also, for the questions, you want to make sure that they're not too detailed. And let me give you a couple examples. So I saw that last quarter your revenue went down by 12% while the market went up by 13%. Can you tell me why you had a 2% growth over this versus that? That may be too detailed. Unless you're going for a C-suite role, it may be too detailed at this stage of the game. Better questions going to focus on things that are going to help you make a choice. Tell me, what do you see this position doing in the first 90 to 120 days? Tell me, what do you think are going to be some of the projects that this individual in this role will work on during that time frame? Focus on ones that are going to help you make your choice. Now, if the position you're applying for is for a management or leadership role, a common question you're going to be asked is, what is your management style? So what is your management style? Don't know? You might want to do some research to see what some common management styles are and which one you think you classify in best as. Now, nobody likes to hear that you're a micromanager, somebody who's going to hold everything so tightly that your employees aren't going to have room to breathe. But other than that, this is a question where you do need to be true to yourself. How do you like to manage your team? How do you lead? And again, you're going to want to have great examples of where you've done this. Talk with them about an opportunity you had to mentor, manage, or lead an individual and how you were able to work with them and you were able to see them become successful over time. That is what they're looking for. Okay, here is our question number 10. Give me 3 words to describe yourself. Now, there are lots of different ways this question will be asked. Sometimes they will just say, give me 3 words to describe yourself, but other times they will phrase it like, tell me 3 things your boss from your previous position will tell me about you. Here's what I recommend you do for this. Come up with 6. Write them down in advance of your interviews. Know not just what those 3 things are, but what are examples of them? If one of the words you use to describe yourself is great follow-through or great project manager, have an example right behind it that you can give that person so they can see you doing that skill in action. The more you can do that, the better you will do during your interview. So, while we've gone through 10 very common questions that we do have on interviews, There are two that we have not covered on this video on purpose. One of them is the salary question, and the other one is behavioral-based questions. Please watch our other videos where we'll go more in depth on those two topics, as they require a little bit more time in order to get you to put your best foot forward. Thanks again for watching, and please don't forget, subscribe, hit that bell for notifications, and if you felt that this video was valuable, please give us that thumbs up. Thanks.